Thank you everyone for joining, and a very good morning and one welcome to one and all for this webinar on comprehensive care for COVID-19 diseases. The webinar is organized by Research Journal of Pharmacy and Life Sciences, and the speaker for today's function is webinar program is Dr. Anil Kumar Mahapatra, who is an interventional cardiologist, and we are happy to listen from him as he is continually treating the COVID patients since the pandemic time. So Dr. Anil Kumar Mahapatra is already we have given the information on the speaker. Still, doctor is one cardiologist, and he has done his MD from Jipmar Hospital and MBBS from MKC Medical College Hospital, Barampur. So without wasting any time, I would like to request Dr. Anil Kumar Mahapatra sir to start his presentation, and thank you one and all to listen from him. Thank you. Namaskar to all. A warm welcome. Now I request to start the presentation.
Is my PPT visible now?
PPT is
Yeah, I am sharing. I got the point. I will share. Is it visible to all?
Yes, it is visible now, clearly.
Am I audible and visible? Okay. Good morning, everybody. Respected teachers, seniors, and friends. At the outset, I am thankful to the organizing committee, the Royal Journal of Pharmacy, Research Journal of Pharmacy and Life Sciences, the core team. Today, our discussion is on comprehensive care for COVID-19. COVID-19 stands for coronavirus disease 19. The story starts this way. Date back from 17th November 2019, the South China Morning Post, a English newspaper of China, has reported a 55 years male individual who has presented with symptoms, and probably he the first case who has contracted COVID-19. By December 19, in a month, doctors have seen a cluster of cases, and they have attributed the root of the virus to something sold in the wet market of China, Hubei province, Wuhan city. Again, by December 27th, there were more than 180 cases of COVID-19 symptomatology patients where the disease etiology was attributed to this novel coronavirus or SARS-CoV-2. This is the severe acute respiratory syndrome causing coronavirus 2, because the SARS-CoV-1 has done a pandemic in 2003 to 2004. Hence, this virus was named as 2, or because it's new, it has been named as novel. Over a span of by this 3 months, by mid-March, this microdemon has affected more than 1.48 lakh people in the whole world and brought the world into a standstill position. The rest is history. Today, history is witnessing a strange situation where the COVID-19 pandemic has affected every sphere of life, the way we think, the way we behave, the way we work. So let's have some discussion and scientific way of knowing and fighting against this microscopic enemy what the world is facing today. It is much more than a war. The paradigm of this pandemic is a triple threat. Paradigm is the pattern. In true sense, this pandemic is having the facts about the disease, the suffering, and the death. But the misinformation infodemic has created another panic epidemic of anger, irrational fear, and future of disease and suffering in people's mind. So as we all know, problem comes in cluster. and this is not an exception which has created the same cluster of problems to this whole world at this point of time. We will discuss who is more affected, how epidemiologically the virus spreads, what are the things, how it started, how it spreaded, that is what epidemiology is. Then what is the symptom that you will tell a person is suffering from COVID-19 disease, that is called clinical feature. How pathophysiologically, what is the pathological changes this virus causes in our body, how to manage, whom to keep it in home, whom to send to hospital or take a medical advice. The fraternity is struggling to give care in this situation of all odds, with most benefits and hopes of caring and curing the patient, but with still witnessing many unexpected events. Then the second engulfment during this problem, like a cluster of problem, is black fungus. During the second wave of this pandemic, the human is suffering from a new disease, again a fatal disease. Then to look for the prevention, how to prevent, is vaccine truly working, in other methods of COVID appropriate behavior is helping or not. And last but not the least, the misinformation. As we all know, a lie gets halfway around the world before the truth puts on its boots. In Odia, we say, Tini Tundare Chali Kukura. So, coronavirus is a enveloped positive strand RNA viruses. Virus, either DNA virus or RNA virus, when the core is ribonucleic acid, it's RNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, it's DNA. When it is having a lipid layer in the outer stage, it is enveloped but not having unenveloped virus. And when it is having mRNA of its own synthesis, then it is a positive strand. When there is no mRNA strand of its own protein synthesis, then it's a negative strand. So this is a positive enveloped strand RNA virus. This envelope is giving us some benefit, that we keep saying people to go for alcohol-based sanitizer because it's an enveloped virus. This alcohol-based sanitizers is helping us to disinfect from this virus, from its droplets, because it's an airborne and droplet-borne virus. So we are getting rid of the droplets by going for using of this alcohol-based sanitizers because of this envelope of this virus. But because we should remember that this alcohol-based sanitizer usage should be optimal, because excess use also causes some skin irritation. Like these are all one or other problem added during this situation. This virus, no age is immune for this virus. All age of people are affected. In the first wave, we saw the elderly, the more comorbid persons like diabetic, hypertensive. COPD means chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, those who suffer from lung disease from smoking or any occupational hazard. Then people with heart disease, those who have heart attack or heart dysfunction, people with liver disease, people with kidney disease. So those who are having, and most important, people of obesity, those who are having morbidly obesity, they have less respiratory capacity, so they are more prone for the disease. This was the dictum in the first wave of the disease before November or October 2020. But the second wave has made a sweep affecting even younger to the age of 18 or less. Even in children, this coronavirus disease occurs, but in children, the immune system is strong, so they develop a different syndrome called multi-system inflammatory syndrome of children. MIS children, multi-system inflammatory syndrome of children. Gender-wise, if you see, with a handful of observations, the male are more affected than female in this disease. The things what we can explain is like males are more bound to go outside. Again, the SC receptors are more expressed in male. This is the receptor through which the virus enters in our body. And SC receptors are abundant in our lung epithelium and intestinal epithelium, though they are abundant throughout all vasculature of body. So male are having more SC receptor, they are outgoing people, and perhaps female sex hormone is more protective compared to male sex hormone. Even people have seen when they have taken vaccine, if you check the antibody titer, it is more in female. It's an observation, though no concrete data is there. The antibody titer is comparatively less in male. This coronavirus is not a new one. Ecologically, it is a diverse virus. It is always present in human. As any flu virus, coronavirus is also a same flu virus in human. The problem started when the animal zoonotic model of virus started causing disease in human, like it has come from seafood, from a bat. Then the man suffered a lot. As I told you, the first severe acute respiratory syndrome virus COVID virus 1 has the pandemic in 2003, and this second pandemic by the novel virus we are all going through is the SARS-CoV-2. The cluster pneumonia cases has started in Hubei province of Wuhan from a seafood market in Huanan seafood market. So when the doctors found the cluster of cases, they could trace that this has been the root of origin from the wet market of China. From there, it has spreaded the whole world. WHO declared an international emergency for this disease in January 30th. March 11th, WHO declared this disease as a pandemic. A disease is called epidemic when it is confined to a region with many people getting affected. But when it gets a passport, the P, then it spreads across boundaries, affecting other countries and going nationally, internationally. You look at India's scenario. In first wave, the case load, case detection, case testing, all were 1/3, 1/4. But the second wave, the case load, the mortality, the spread was much more higher. This is attributable to the strains, the mutations, what we are listening. The alpha variant of virus and delta variant of virus. The delta variant of virus caused the second wave, whereas the alpha variant was responsible for the first wave, and the mortality seriousness with this delta virus was much more. In second wave, India became the highest number of daily reporting case, or number one in international level or WHO standard level to have the disease burden in our country. It was a pathetic situation. We all have gone through many disharmonies, like most of our family member or our close friend, relative has suffered from this disease. And we all know this cause of second wave. We have gone little bit lighter, or we have done something which was not wanted, like the political rallies, the religious gatherings of Kumbh Mela, and mutation of virus per se, which we would have not prevented, but we could have prevented by avoiding the gatherings. And we thought the virus is not there or something. We lowered our guards, like the COVID appropriate behavior, what we call. We have gone down in that behavior, making relaxation in our mask usage, relaxation in our isolation, relaxation in our going to crowded places, not avoiding any cinema hall, or you say shopping mall, or whatever said and done. So these are the causes why we have got affected very badly during this second wave of this pandemic. This is again a epidemiological data, like how many variants are there. Again, epidemiologically, or the people who are looking to prevent or control or curb this disease, they describe the viruses according to their variations as variants of interest, VOI, and variants of concern, VOC. A virus, when its transmissibility, dangerousness, spread across border, or mortality, fatality increases, then the same variant is called as variant of concern, where everybody gets watchful, like the Delta variant. When the virus is causing disease, but the spread and transmission are less, at this point of time, the virus is taken as a variants of interest. All are they infect, but the transmissibility and dangerousness. Now, last 4-6 days back or a week back, Delta Plus has come, but the virulence of this virus is still not predicted and not known much about it. Again, WHO it is the constant observation and constant guidance to the society. WHO is World Health Organization. So it has given case definition, whom you will tell that he is a COVID-19 patient, because this is a highly spreading disease. The R naught or the spreading capacity is more than 2.5. So because of this spread, we need contact tracing, case isolation, and contact quarantine. A case who is proven, if he is having mild symptom or no symptom, asymptomatic. See, asymptomatic or no symptom, how will we know? We are going to know it by contact tracing. In our community, somebody is positive. Then, because of the government standard and rule to protect others, they start tracing other people in that community. If they found somebody, he is positive, the tests are being done from the nasopharynx or oropharynx by taking respiratory secretions as RT-PCR test, because it's a RNA virus, so reverse transcriptase PCR, polymerase chain reaction test, or rapid antigen test. So if you are doing those tests, even an asymptomatic person, if he is in the cluster of a patient where a case has been reported, then you will find he or she is positive. So that way we say asymptomatic. Only he this PCR positive, RT-PCR positive or rapid antigen positive, but not having symptoms. Or person having mild symptom where you found the patient is having positive by your RT-PCR, nasopharyngeal RT-PCR or rapid antigen test. So he is a confirmed case of COVID-19 disease, whether it is symptomatic or asymptomatic. Once you found a confirmed case, you have to isolation. So the isolation is for cases, whereas the family member or the people staying very close to him they are all called contact. So contact should go for quarantine. Again, why the quarantine or isolation is of 14 days, 10 days? Because the incubation period of the virus is 2 to 5 days. At stretch, you can go up to 14 days. So if somebody has contacted with the disease, he or she may develop symptom within 2 to 5 days or at max 10-14 days. That is incubation period, means after contact, within how many days you are going to get symptom. So looking at this incubation period, they have developed a isolation or quarantine, case isolation, contact quarantine for 10 to 14 days or 2 weeks. What are the symptoms? Like any flu, this virus also causes fever, cough, rhinorrhea, coryza, myalgia, whole body pain, weakness feeling, but when and loss of taste, loss of smell, because the route of entry is through nasopharynx, oropharynx, so loss of taste and smell. But when these symptoms they persist beyond 5 days, like there is a fever and cough, in 2 days it subsided, but it's recorded in 5th day, 6th day. Patient is having severe asthenia, not feeling to eat, not feeling to move, feeling very weak, and in the 6th day of disease, he or she is going to something called hyperinflammation syndrome. Again, I will show it. So the symptoms are fever, cough, general weakness, which we call fatigue, headache, myalgia, sore throat, dyspnea, breathlessness. Dyspnea means breathlessness, feeling breathless, or having diarrhea, because the ACE receptors are there in the intestine. So patients who develop diarrhea, lose motion, and in advanced stage, they can go to altered mental status. So COVID positive from RT-PCR or rapid antigen test, having symptoms, having a history of contact with people, or today, if you find somebody who comes with low oxygen saturation, because as a doctor, we have not seen people relatively stable and coming with low oxygen saturation. There is no other disease other than COVID during this pandemic. So if somebody is having an oxygen saturation less than 94%, he or she is suspicious of having COVID-19 disease. Even if he or she has symptom of any fever, cough over these 5-10 days, and after that it has subsided, but subsequently he developed breathlessness with decrease in saturation, it is, unless it is proven, COVID. People do a RT-PCR test and a rapid antigen test, they say it is negative, so I am not suffering. No, when the clinical symptomatology are there, maybe because of the variation, because of the sample or some other hitch or glitch, we are not able to get. In that situation, patient already having hypoxia but rapid antigen or this RT-PCR negative, we should go for a CT scan thorax, CT chest, HR-CT chest, high resolution CT scan thorax, which will show the COVID specific lung changes, which are named as CORAD. This COVID virus related radiological reporting and data system, that is all called CORAD. So the CORAD score, looking, I will show you some CT picture. So in that, this will be confirmed that this patient is having COVID because the radiological picture is suggestive. Again, do not think like I got affected with coronavirus disease, so it is end of my life. Not, it is not. Because 80% people are going to stay with mild symptom. 80% people are going to get recovery. It is only at the nasopharynx or oropharynx level. When the virus trickles down to the lungs, then maybe with the inflammatory fighting, inflammation fighting is done by our immune system, the lymphocytes. So when they try to fight, most of the time, 80% time they save us. Sometimes it becomes counterproductive, where the savior becomes a organ damager. Then the tissue starts getting damaged from the hyperinflammation, and we see lung changes, hypoxia, multi-organ dysfunction, because this immune system releases many cytokines, many hormones, like interleukin, group of interleukin 1, 6, tumor necrosis factor alpha. So all these immune mediated things trouble us. Again, only 5% they go to ICU care. So it's not that, and that happens around 10 to 12 days, or you can take as 8 to 15 days. Second week is more that we should be judicious. If we are suffering in the second week of disease, then only we should be really concerned. If it is getting settled in 5 days, 80% people are going to get recovery. What is the pathophysiology? How this virus troubles us? This sarcovirus attaches to the SC receptor in vasculature as well as in the lung epithelium. Once it attaches, our immune system starts fighting. They create an inflammatory cytokine milieu. They activate the thrombotic system of body. For that, we check inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein, ferritin. We check for thrombotic markers like D-dimer. The lungs get affected. Other vascular system or thrombotic system getting affected can create stroke from thrombosis, can create pulmonary embolism, like a clot in the pulmonary circulation. If the clot comes to the heart, it creates heart attack. If the clot comes to the deeper veins or leg arteries, it causes deep venous thrombosis or peripheral arterial disease. So a vascular disease can occur from this virus because of the immune inflammation it creates in body. So how it goes? The same thing. There is a phase of active viral replication. During this phase, patient may stay asymptomatic with his immune system serving him or saving him. But then the next day, the patient goes to immune inflammation, where there occurs mild disease, symptomatic in forms of fever, cough, or mild weakness, headache, myalgia, but the saturation remains more than 94%. Initial 5 days, you can go ahead with the symptomatic treatment, home isolation, but when the patient goes to immune hyperinflammation stage, this is the stage where we should be very concerned. This can create moderate disease, decrease in oxygen saturation. The saturation comes below 94% and above 86%, that is the moderate category. When it goes less than 85%, then it is the severe category, the cytokine storm causing organ damage. When we are testing for this oxygen saturation, like today, we all from the media or information, many good guidance we got, many misguidance we got. The good guidance is everybody understood to take a pulse oximeter, which is a handy device, and started checking their oxygen saturation. So when you are checking oxygen saturation and you are suspecting that you are affected or you are having symptoms, not only the rest oxygen saturation which is going to warn you, it is the 6-minute walk test oxygen saturation which is going to warn you. how like you walk in your corridor or in your room by keeping the pulse oxygen meter in your hand and keep seeing while walking. Within a 6-minute time of walking, if you found the saturation goes down below 94, then you be concerned. You be take consultation from medical system or consult a doctor or go to a hospital. Till 3-5 days, if symptoms are not progressing, you can take home-based treatment with a medical advice. Once the multi-organ dysfunction starts, then there may be, because of unresponsiveness to therapy or because of inappropriate or under treatment from the therapy, it may cost life. So that is what inadvertently, with all effort also, we are losing some lives. So it's a firefighting, because inflammation is the word coined from a Latin term called inflammare, the fire flame. The flame of the fire, what we do? We have to douse it as early as possible before it engulfs larger area. Like before it engulfs our body, before it goes to a hyperinflammation phase, we have to stop this fire. So how will we know that patient is going to immune hyperinflammation? The immune system which is fighting with this virus is becoming counterproductive to damage tissue. This can be known by going through blood tests. So if you are having symptoms beyond 5 days, take a medical advice, go with blood test. The test, important tests are CBC, the complete blood count. The blood count, what it gives us the idea is like giving a neutrophil lymphocyte ratio. The neutrophil and lymphocyte are the first line scavengers or the protectors for any organism entering in our body to fight. In neutrophils are early recruited, so they are recruited mostly in bacterial disease. Lymphocytes are recruited mostly in viral diseases. Normally, the neutrophil is 60 to 70 and lymphocyte is 20 to 40. So the ratio is always 3 or less than 3. But when the neutrophil lymphocyte ratio goes beyond 3.3, we are warned that maybe the person. How it occurs? Like the lymphocyte count falls down. The lymphocyte, which is the protector during a viral disease, is falling down. When the counts are low, our protection is low. So neutrophil lymphocyte ratio more than 3.3. C-reactive protein and ferritin. They are again, C-reactive protein is an inflammatory marker. It opsonizes the virus for phagocytosis. It will try to protect us by covering the virus and giving it to the scavenger system to engulf or phagocyte it. But when this fails, lymphocytes are low, the CRP is mounting, going more than 5-fold. Normally, according to laboratory standard, some laboratories, because the unit changes, somebody reports as milligram per deciliter, somebody reports as milligram per liter. So some labs, they give 0.6 milligram per deciliter. When they report it as milligram per liter, then they make it 6. So less than 6 CRP is normal, or if the laboratory is 0.6, less than 0.6 is normal. If there is a 5-fold increase in CRP, if there is increase in ferritin, again it is a inflammatory marker. From the blood cells, they get released into the circulation because it's the iron causing material in body. So hemoglobin targeting ferritin. So if it increases, it is called hyperferritinemia, and that is also an inflammatory marker. And the thrombotic marker, because of the coagulation cascade, because of the vasculature, endothelial damage. Endothelium is the inner lining of vascular system in our body. So that causes thrombotic milieu. So D-dimer will be high. CRP, ferritin, D-dimer, and your neutrophil lymphocyte ratio, or looking at a count, will suggest or warn the doctor that this patient is going to immune hyperinflammation. So this is only to show like how CT scan is seen in a case of COVID-19 disease. Just have a look at the video for 10 seconds, then again we'll talk. On the left side, you are seeing the CT chest of a mild disease patient. Or when actually, if you can make out, there are white shadows. Lungs are black and aerated. When they are not aerated because of this portion, like this portion, you can see this is the area got affected by COVID-19. They are called ground glass opacities by the radiological reporting system. So if the score is less, there is mild disease, like they are scoring it as up to 25. Usually lung is divided into 5 lobes. So right side 3 lobes, left side 2 lobes. If a lobe is having less than 5% disease, it is scored as 1, 5 to 25, 2, then 53, more than 50 to 75, 3, 4, and beyond 75, 5. So last way, if 5 lobes, 5 mark you give, then the total score is 25. If the score is less than 8, then it is mild. When the score is 8 to 16, it is moderate. When it is beyond 16, 18, it is severe disease. So one picture is showing a mild disease, whereas the right side picture is showing, you see, whole lung is looking white. But do not leave the hope, like, because we know every cloud has a silver lining. So every bad period or every disturbance has a hopeful aspect ahead. So this COVID related or COVID pneumonia of lung involvement gets more than 90%, 95% time very clear, and the patient does not go into a residual disease. At a high chance that many patients having even more than 20 score, they recover, and they recover fully. That is what the silver lining about this disease. So looking at the treatment, symptomatic treatment, like somebody is having fever, you give paracetamol. Somebody is having cough, you give some antitussive, cough suppressing drugs like antihistaminics, and isolate the patient. Allow him for a home isolation, because by that the other family members will be getting protected. But after 5 days, do not look at home isolation. See, many words you will be listening. I don't want to tell, like somebody writes COVIDology, COVIDization, COVID idiot. So this is not the word, but frankly speaking, we should be concerned, we should be alert to fight against this enemy. So once you have crossed 5 days or your inflammatory markers are high, you have to go with the treatment. The treatment mnemonics is antiviral, because it's a viral disease; anti-inflammatory, because the immune hyperinflammation is the cause of fatality, cause of progression; anticoagulant, because it stimulates the coagulation cascade in body; and if somebody is having low oxygen, he or she needs oxygen therapy. Oxygen is a medicine, it needs doctor's prescription, it needs hospitalized or known care. With knowledge, you should care for it. So less proven drugs, which are during this pandemic has been taken up as a emergency use authorization, EUA, like for the 2-deoxy-D-glucose by Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, our DCGI. Though ICMR is still under trial, Drug Control General of India has issued a emergency use authorization for some drug. Similarly, convalescent plasma therapy, CPT usage. These are not the concrete proven therapies till date. Trials are still on. So plasma therapy, stem cell therapy, immunoglobulin therapy, 2-deoxy-D-glucose therapy. Now antibody cocktail again came up news recently. That is a monoclonal antibody combination of casirivimab and imedivimab. So this molecule, if given in combination, can decrease the hospitalization. So this has to be given in the mild or early moderate phase of disease, so that the patient may not require hospitalization. But still they are under trial. Looking at antiviral agents, we all know the antiviral agents available are remdesivir, favipiravir, and verapin. Favipiravir and verapin have not got concrete data that they are protecting. Remdesivir through ACCT trial, that ACT trial and Solidarity trial, has shown to decrease the hospitalization, not has shown any mortality benefit. So remdesivir, if it is given, the patient's well-being will become early, patient will feel better, his symptoms will come down early, but he may not get saved from the mortality. So there is no mortality benefit from remdesivir, but still, because it decreases the illness, it gives you early recovery, still it is considered in moderate disease, not in mild disease, because it has no mortality benefit, and mild disease can get control on its own. So remdesivir is used in moderate disease or early hypoxia disease. along with remdesivir, we used anti-immunoinflammatory agent, the strongest anti-inflammatory till date available to the medical fraternity, the oldest drug, steroid. So steroid is the strongest anti-inflammatory drug available. And other immunomodulators now came up like Janus kinase inhibitor, baricitinib, tofacitinib. These medical terminologies, but any medical doctor who is caring for a person of COVID-19 disease takes care of these hyperinflammatory phases by giving steroid, by giving immunomodulator, by giving antiviral, mostly remdesivir in hospital setting, if the patient has a disease history of less than 10 days. Because as we know, viral replication is the early phase, immunoinflammation is the late phase. So when the viral replication phase, like less than 10 days of time, if you use remdesivir, there will be benefit to the patient, those who are suffering with moderate disease. Coming to the anticoagulant, heparin or low molecular heparin, apixaban, dabigatran, rivaroxaban, they are oral anticoagulant agent. So you check the D-dimer of the person. If the D-dimer is high or even the D-dimer is low or normal, but still the patient is in moderate to severe form of disease, because the lung changes are attributable to the vascular thrombosis. So microvascular thrombosis and causing the ground glass opacity in the lung, even the D-dimer is low, one should take if he or she is suffering from moderate to severe disease. And this anticoagulation has to be continued for 4 to 6 weeks. This disease does not end at 10 days or 2 weeks. It has a long course, and we do not have sufficient data because it's a disease of 1 year. Only over 1 year, whatever patients we have seen, we are telling about the recovery like a silver lining for lung recovery, or patients not going to a coagulatory defects like stroke or heart attack or deep venous thrombosis, but still the anticoagulation has to be continued if the D-dimer is high for 4 to 6 weeks. After 6 weeks, if possible, one can check a D-dimer level, and if the D-dimer level has settled, one can stop. If the D-dimer continue to be higher side, one can continue for longer duration. So the steps to see is look clinically, observe with symptomatic home isolation treatment with your whatever paracetamol, antitussive. See, suddenly this immunity has come up as a big way, like everybody concerned as if immunity was not there. Science-wise, there is no proof that you eat some kadha or immunobooster, vitamin C, zinc. They have their own way of helping, which they were helping earlier. Like if you see vitamin C, it is a endothelium stabilizing agent, so it helps, but does not mean that it protects. Only you have to eat during a COVID-19 disease so that you are going to get protected. Similarly, zinc helps in gastrointestinal, like intestinal mucosa stabilization. Zinc has a role because some receptor-based molecular level help is there. So those who are having diarrhea, you give zinc, there is some sense that it is going to help. So arbitrarily, with some hope, we are giving treatment like ivermectin, doxycycline, zinc, vitamin C, but some observation that we are finding happy and psychologically perhaps, or in science term, there is no data, there is no randomized control trial to say that doxycycline, azithromycin, they help. Anyway, chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine is already out of the basket because it has created a lot of problem, because it's an arrhythmic drug. It creates arrhythmia in heart and causes sudden death. So that is not in the list. Only thing is ivermectin still going on, but the proof is not there. Anyway, with some hope, Indian doctors, we are practicing giving this tablet. But paracetamol only should be the drug when a person is suffering from fever and having to have COVID, with other symptomatic treatments like taking good rest, taking good nutrition, maintaining good hydration. Because this pandemic has created infodemic and panic reaction, mental stress. So giving a moral boosting, staying mentally calm is more important than engulfing many tablets when you are in the early phase of disease. Once you cross 5 days, like clinically you are deteriorating, your fever is not coming down on 5th, 6th day, your inflammatory markers are going up in 5 folds, CRP, 2 folds, D-dimer, neutrophil lymphocyte ratio more than 3.3, your oxygen saturation either at rest or by walking, like you are getting less than 94%, then you be concerned, immediately consult medical specialist, reach a hospital, or with the doctor's guidance, go ahead with your treatment. Remember, when we are telling 6-minute walk test, it's not mandatory. Suppose somebody is having already 94%, he's an elderly person, he cannot walk. We cannot make him that only he should walk 6 minutes. Even trying for a respiratory activity, taking deep breath and trying to hold the breath, or walking for 2-3 minutes and seeing that the saturation is coming below 94%, that is more than enough. So if somebody has less capability of having this one, not having to walk 6 minutes, he can walk 2-3 minutes and see a respiratory exercise, see how he's holding the breath. These are the parameters with common sense we can utilize to know a person is going into problem or not. Not anything is not specific that one has to walk 6 minutes and see how it is happening. So there are 3 levels of management. In level 1, up to 5 days, do not give steroid. Steroid is harmful because the virus is replicating. If you want to knock out the immune system, which is going to fight with the virus, by giving steroid, the patient is bound to go into problem. And as a doctor, pathetically, we have seen many people, whether with some advice or local advice, they start steroid early and they go into trouble, even children. So do not give steroid in the first 5 days. Steroid should not be started as a home-based or with hearsay over-the-counter drug. Again, as I told you, other drugs except paracetamol has no much data with us. When the saturation goes down or the inflammatory markers goes up, one should go with dexamethasone, anticoagulation, and remdesivir, or other immunomodulators along with remdesivir. Like there are various, they help a lot, but the data is not sufficient. They are under trial. If the person goes to falling in oxygen and organ failure, you need oxygen support. There are many methods of oxygen support, and antibiotic usage is also not in the first phase. When patient goes to multi-organ dysfunction, to protect from superadded bacterial infection, antibiotic has to be added. So in the earlier phase, giving lot of antibiotic, trying variety of antibiotic over 5, 7, 10 days, changing every now and then is not standard practice. It is wrong. Same COVID treatment only to like a viral replication in the early phase, immune inflammation in the later phase. The monoclonal antibody cocktail has to be given to prevent hospitalization. These are under trial, like as I told you. And in some cases, a 6 inhibitor, it is helping. There very judiciously and very, when a patient, and it has to be early, when a patient he's deteriorating progress, taking him to ICU, at that moment of time, he's entering into cytokine storm, you give tocilizumab, it will help. But the disadvantage is this drug causes severe secondary infection in body. So we have to be very judicious, but it is helpful at present for patients who are going for cytokine storm, along with high dose of steroid, remdesivir, if less than 10 days duration of disease. And steroid has been proven with various trials, and recovery trial is the largest trial which has given us the idea that it decreases mortality beyond doubt. So once the inflammatory markers are rising, start with dexamethasone. Dexamethasone is a steroid, methylprednisolone, prednisolone, daflazacort. So many steroid molecules are available in market, but many trials has taken dexamethasone as the drug, but equivalent dose of methylprednisolone or prednisolone can be used in patients with COVID-19 disease who are in moderate to severe form of disease. Do not wait till the saturation falls. So on 5th day, 6th day, if you are having symptoms, please have a medical advice. Please go with the blood tests. Let the doctor judge you, and not just going and doing from a radiological lab, getting a CT scan, seeing that there is no CT scan changes or mild changes. They are not important, because on 5th day or 6th day you have done a CT. You do not know on 10th day or 12th day the CT will change. Similarly, the CT picture what I showed is the same patient whose CT on 6th day and CT on 10th day. 10th day the CT went into 19 to 20, 22 score, whereas the 6th day CT was showing only 6/25 score. So do not wait the hypoxia to engulf, the flame to engulf. During hyperinflammation phase, definitely go ahead with steroid. But early steroid is detrimental. It is going to take life. So do not start steroid early. All has to be judicious because medical science is only a correlation. It's not mathematics like 1 + 1 2. The oxygen therapy, as I told, it's a drug, it needs prescription. Looking at the patient's condition and requirement in a hospital setting, or the person with knowledge can give oxygen through nasal cannula, through face mask, to reservoir non-breathing mask, and nasal high flow. There are so many modalities like continuous positive airway pressure, BiPAP level pressure. Then if nothing works out, the patient goes to these all first 5 photos shows that the patient can be ventilated non-invasively. So only outside you keep some mask or oxygen source, the patient breathes. When these steps they do not work out, or patient goes into altered sensorium, whereby keeping outside oxygen is not going to help him, the patient may need ventilatory therapy, like that is called invasive ventilation. They put an endotracheal tube into the lung through the larynx and ventilate the patient through a machine called ventilator. Again, very important, any person who is suffering from COVID-19 disease needs, at least if he or she is in the moderate phase of disease, needs self-proning. Proning is a position when you lie down with your stomach down or face down. So lying on stomach or lying face down is called prone position of sleeping, whereas lying supine means looking up and lying down is called, or lying on back is supine, lying on stomach is prone. Prone helps during COVID-19 disease because 60% to 80% of our lung tissue are on the posterior aspect. So when you lie prone, the larger area of lung tissue are getting ventilated by your ventilatory efforts. So proning for half an hour, 1 hour, and it needs position change, not that you have to keep lie down in proning position. So alternate your postures of proning and lateral side sleeping during this COVID period, and avoid more supine lying, like looking up or lying on your back should be avoided. If you want to do that, rather be seated than lying down in supine position. Prone position helps by ventilating more volume of lung tissue and helping the person, and it really works out. Even those patients who go for ventilator, doctors with or the respiratory team with difficulty, they make the patient, because prone ventilation is not easy when you see in medical stream, it is difficult, but many people they take care to make the person in prone position and ventilate by an invasive ventilator, like giving the endotracheal tube in the lungs, giving into the bronchus, they ventilate. It's a difficult ventilation. The second wave again added a very dangerous fatal condition to our problem. So the problem got magnified by looking at rhino-oculocerebral mucormycosis. The words per se explain. Rhino means nose, oculo means eye, cerebral means brain. So this fungus earlier was called zygomycosis. Zygoma is a bone in face. So the fungus was affecting the zygoma bone or paranasal sinuses. We hear sinus. The sinuses are nothing but these face bones. So in nose and face, there are spaces called sinuses. In those sinuses, this virus creates leak. So mucormycosis is a virus, the mold called mucormycetes. It occurs in people with underlying predisposing conditions. Who are they? Those who are diabetes with uncontrolled sugar, those who are immune suppressed people like a malignant person suffering with malignancy, transplant, those who use injudicious steroid. If misuse, improper use of steroid is there, overuse of steroid is there, inadvertently using antibiotics. So these are the people who are going to get the infection, and it's a notifiable disease. So the health authorities should be informed when somebody, and it occurs around the 3rd week, the fungal spores enter to our body from air. So uncontrolled diabetes, misuse, overuse, irrational use of steroid and antibiotic, prolonged ICU stay, unhygienic, because the oxygen source we use humidifier. So if the humidifier ideal to use sterile water for the humidifier. So irrational use of broad spectrum antibiotic and people with hematological malignancy, immunosuppressive drug taking people, transplant people. So they are the persons who get mucormycosis. And the signs and symptoms when somebody, a COVID recovered person, around third week, complaints of swelling around eye, loosening of teeth, pain in teeth, a blackish discoloration over the nose area, headache, coughing, bloody secretion from nose or bloody sputum, bloody vomiting, altered mental status from the affection of brain. Why it causes a black color? The black fungus is nothing but the black color it creates. It affects the vascular system and clogs the vascular system, causing tissue necrosis. The tissue gets dead and becomes black color. So the name is black fungus. So control hyperglycemia, monitor blood glucose and control it strictly. Use steroid antibiotic judiciously. Use sterile water for oxygenation and no inadvertent use of antifungal or antibiotic. Do not miss the warning symptoms. When a person comes with warning symptoms, we should not miss it. Patients who are having sinusitis after immunosuppression therapy, they should be targeted. Do not hesitate to seek medical advice. Do not lose the crucial time for treatment. So high degree of clinical suspicion is required. The KOH potassium hydroxide microscopic assay shows the virus. And when you are going for testing, do not wait for the result to start therapy. And CT scan of sinuses and CT brain or MRI brain will help us to know the extent of disease. So timely initiation of treatment, it's a multidisciplinary approach. As I told you, ENT specialist for nose disease, eye specialist for eye disease, brain specialist for brain involvement. So many surgical specialty or multi-speciality is required. They need surgical debridement and antifungal therapy. The antifungal which is proven today is liposomal amphotericin B. It has to be given as early as possible in a suspicious case before looking at reports if clinically all parameters are suiting. And the drug, any drug therapy needs monitoring like kidney function test or serum electrolyte should be monitored. Now coming to the prevention. This line we will be listening from our childhood. Prevention is better than cure, but it has to be practiced. So corona appropriate behaviors like from the ringtone of mobile to the media, everywhere it is highlighting that use mask properly, cover your nose and mouth. Not an improper usage of mask is going to help you. Avoid crowding. In India, the population density is very high. The area we live and our number of population are very high. So avoiding isolation or distancing is little difficult for us than other countries. So what we have to do, wishfully and willfully, we have to avoid crowded places. Do not go out or do not go to crowded places. And even you are in contact with your office or colleague, try to have your mask on properly and maintain a distance, feasible distance of 1 to 2 meters, not 15 meters continuously gossiping with somebody with mask down. Again, get vaccinated and stay safe. Take out the misconceptions or misinformations from your mind that vaccine is not affecting. I will show you. Again, look at, we will be hearing the word called herd immunity. Like this person who took the vaccine, he is in a protected environment. Some people, they cannot take vaccine. So if you see a community where vaccination has been made for few people and some people did not get, so when a lot of people in the community are vaccinated, the pathogen gets hard time to circulate because it encounters antibodies in many people. So vaccination not only protects you, it protects those in the community who are not able to take vaccine. So remember, it is your saving and you are saving the whole community or people around you. This hesitancy about vaccination, treatment, that neglecting or not thinking, oh, what will happen? So this is not new to India. This is a global phenomenon. So hesitancy is there for everything in every sphere, and corona is no exception. So usually around 60 to 80% people only will be in the forefront to have accept the new fact, whereas there will be resistance or reluctancy from some group of people. But this is common, so don't worry about it. Go and get vaccinated. Nobody should be denied of vaccination, and nobody should deny to take vaccine. Breakthrough infection, what does it mean? Breakthrough infection means nothing but after taking vaccine also somebody is getting disease. Yes, the vaccine may not protect you 100%. Even after vaccination, some people may get sick and it may cost life, but that is very, 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 very few. Because CMC Vellore, that is Christian Medical College Vellore, has done a study. Their medical staff, around 12,000 odd medical staff, 10,000 around took vaccine, 2,000 did not take vaccine. So in 2% of vaccinated people, they found infection, whereas 18 to 20% of non-vaccinated. Again, you see the volume. 10,000 got vaccinated. In 2,000, you got, when the sample size is low and the incidence is high, means it is truly high. Actually, it is, you can say it indirectly that it is underreported. And CDC, like Center for Disease Control, says 20 to 25 times less chance of getting disease who are vaccinated and completed both the dose after 14 days. So your dose should be complete. Like you have taken second dose, but in less than 2 weeks, you may get, or you have taken first dose, you may get. Once you are fully vaccinated, the chance is very, very low. Even somebody gets disease, the severity is low. So many advantages are there with vaccination. Some outliers out of prediction, something may go wrong because it's a new disease with many researchers. As I told you, the research has been COVIDization of research for this COVID period. And India, you see the population density is very high. So though we have crossed 2 million or 2 crore, more than 2 crore people vaccinated, but still our population is 1.3 crore. So that way, 131 crores. So when we are vaccinating, because our population mass is high, if you see this graph, among world, India is in last position because our population density is high and our vaccine drive is low. So at present, though we have vaccinated 111.17 million people, still our bar is low. Again, because this second wave has come, where earlier, because old age was targeted for vaccination, the younger age got affected more this second wave. So with the vaccination available, they are trying to vaccinate teen. So Pfizer and our Moderna, they are including people, children less than 12 years or around 12 years for vaccination. Even for Covaxin, Bharat Biotech has started vaccination drive to prove whether it is helpful for children so that we can curb the third wave. So Bharat Biotech is trying more than 2 years children to vaccinate and see how is the result. So that data has to come. At present, it is not there with us. So there is no much difference between Covaxin, Covishield, Sputnik. There is no concrete data. Both are like Covaxin is an inactivated vaccine, whereas Covishield is a non-replicating viral vector, adenovirus vector vaccine. The efficacy is equal. The storage is same, 2 to 8 degree you have to store. And the doses to be taken, like now data is evolving. Earlier it was 1 month gap, but for Covishield now they are taking even up to 3 months the immunity stage. So government has declared it 84%. These are only observation and monitoring, that giving some added information to us, but concrete data will take time. As we all know, data takes time. So after vaccination, do not go away or go vary from your COVID appropriate behavior. Cover your nose and mouth, maintain distance, avoid crowded people, do not go unwantedly outside, wash hands, do not use much sanitizers, rather wash with a soap and water, and keep clean. Facts and facts, like I told you, lie spreads faster than truth. So look at the facts, don't go with the facts. I have taken vaccine. Whether this vaccine can cause disease in me? No, a big no to this. Live virus causes infection. The vaccine is a dead virus, so it is not going to give you disease. Mild symptoms of fever, some body pain will come. This is a mild effect. Even with any vaccine, you take a tetanus, also you may feel little pain in that side. So these are auto or self-limiting things. And by training your immune system, you will better protected from getting infection, and you will protect your community, which is a service to the mankind. Other things are like the myths are like COVID-19 vaccine is unsafe. It has been developed too quickly. There is no many research. See, in a short span of time, this only can be done. But still, the researchers or who are giving this product to human usage, they are trying their level best. They have proven the safety and efficacy. Clear steps has been taken, clear standardization has been maintained, and it has been given to the mankind. So do not go with the myth that no, it's a less tested. How much time was there, that much testing, and that is going to protect. After getting vaccine, I should not wear mask. No, that is not correct. You have to. And I am already suffering from vaccine, COVID-19. Will I take the vaccine? Yes. In vaccine strategy, we need to boost up our immunity. So if you have suffered from COVID-19, your immunity may last for 2 months. So after 1-2 months of your vaccination, you should go ahead with the vaccine, which will boost your immunity, and you will be further protected, and the community will be protected. Can receiving COVID-19 vaccine can cause magnetism in my body? See, these are all facts. There is no magnet in body. By taking a vaccine in your site of injection also, it will create a magnet. So, there is nothing big no to these things. These are false beliefs or spreading rumors. These are troubling the community. So a lie does not become truth. A wrong does not become right. A evil does not become good just because it is accepted by the majority. So whenever any information you are seeing, look at its source, look at its website, the history, the evidence, only to create a sensation, emotion, it has been given. So think before clicking, think before sharing. Do not spread misinformation. You have to demystify COVID. Then only we will get better protected. Fight inflammation in right time. The key slogan to save life. Dexamethasone in right time is a game changer. Do not give steroid in early viral replication phase. Then you are definitely going to get into trouble because the virus will multiply in double, triple fold. Cat-like observation and timely step up of treatment, like a watchful, waitful watching is the key. You should wait for 3-5 days to unfold the disease, whether it is troubling or not. Then go ahead with the care, which is a scientific proven care. Demystify COVID coronavirus disease 19. So the triple threat, all three threats are important for us. We should be coming out of unwanted stress and targeting the microorganism or the microparticle in a scientific way. So what you want to be during this COVID-19? You want to be in fear zone, you want to be in learning zone, or you want to be in growth zone. So be thankful, keep your mental status steady, try helping, maintain isolation, quietude, better relationship, and get adapted to the new changes what is coming, because how long it is going to be there, we do not know. Like why we are conducting a webinar or online meeting. This is the appropriate behavior at this point of time. Save life with right knowledge, right practice, with right dose at right time. Follow COVID appropriate behavior, vaccination and precaution. Thank you all for patience. I am open to any questions or anything I will take up.
Thank you, sir. So now it is open for all to raise any question to the speaker.
Sir.
Oh, we are so late, 11:44. I don't know.
Okay.
Sir,
Please.
प्रणाम सर मु फर्स्ट डोज टा कोविशील्ड नहीं जदि मु सेकंड डोज टा कोवैक्सीन नेबी ताले मोर मेरिट कोन होबो और डिमेरिट कोन होबो?
It is not scientifically advisable. If you want to change, then again you have to complete in the same line. Like आपण कोविशील्ड नहीं चंती, now आपण कोवैक्सीन नेबे, आउथरे कोवैक्सीन डोज आपण कंप्लीट करियो पड़ियो. So second dose again you have to take covaxin. You have to complete the frame because there is no data. So you can't change from Covishield to Covaxin. If you are changing, you have to go again in that line for 2 doses.
सर यूए रे साइनोफार्म जो होइचा से फर्स्ट डोज नौचंती किंतु सेकंड डोज टा यूए गवर्नमेंट करती जे से फाइजर को अप्रूव करछन तो केमिति एटा हला जदी जने साइनोफार्म रो वैक्सीन नै की फाइजर केमिति नै परछि बूस्टर डोज
कहली परा से माने जहा करिसंती फाइजर देला परे जे से माने आपन को कहिबेनी सेकंड डोज नियो सेटा आपन आदि केमिति कहि परिबे से माने साइनोफार्म रो फाइजर को चेंज करले फाइजर देला परे आउटर सेकंड डोज फाइजर रो नियो बोली कहिबे वी डू नॉट नो अबाउट इट बिकॉज़ देयर इज नो डाटा taking one vaccine from one stream and other vaccine from other stream, there is no data. Whatever you are taking, you have to complete the same formality of that vaccine schedule. Same vaccine schedule should be completed. That is what the data is at present. That is what the knowledge at present.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Good morning, sir. I have one question. Some of the students have taken vaccine Covishield, but they have spent more than 3 months. They didn't take second dose. So what they can do, sir?
Now in 3 months, government is giving in 3 months, no, madam. 84 days is the standard now. So now they can
Sir,
go and take it.
It's more than 3 months, sir. They can take after 3 months also, 4 months in.
They should take. They should take because it is going to protect them. So they should take.
Okay.
Because
Thank
it's
you.
a prevention, no, madam. It is a protection. It's a prevention. It is not going to harm you. So if you are not doing wrongly, then it is going to help only. So after 3 months, 4 months also, one person can take, because there will be situation where somebody is not in the town, he could not take the vaccine. He will come back and take it. That is correct. One should take.
Because some of them are having question in their mind.
No.
If
One
the
should
duration
take
between
mine.
two doses is more than 3 months, so they have to take another first dose and direct second dose they can
No,
take.
they let them take the second dose. There are methods to know whether your vaccination is good or complete. After taking the second dose, in 14 days to 28 days, they can go with the antibody titer from the vaccination. If their antibody titer is up to mark, the second dose is sufficient. If their antibody titer is not up to mark, they can repeat another dose again after a month, 2 months, 3 month gap. So these are all standard and proven things and monitorable, measurable things. Vaccination drive is a measurable thing. Do not worry about it, because if after vaccination you can go for antibody test and you can know whether you are protected or not protected. So that is not a harm.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sir, one question, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, in what condition does COVID-19 survive the longest?
Again, the fomite concept was there, but now it is all airborne. So this droplet and fomite concept has come down. Earlier they were telling it will survive 7 days, 7 hours, but that is not there now. So it is a controversy which has been cleared, saying that it's an airborne disease.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, if no questions, we will tell me. Sir.
I have taken first dose of Covaxin.
Yes, sir.
In the meantime, I have suffered with COVID.
Yes, sir.
After how many days I can take the second dose?
Because Covaxin is 1 month duration. So after recovering from COVID, when you complete 1 month or 1.5 months, you can go ahead with the second dose. At least 1 month gap is required after recovery.
After recovery.
1 month. After 1 month, you can go ahead, sir.
But somebody says that after 3 months. That's why.
I told you, Covaxin, the schedule is 1 month, sir. So you can go ahead. See, I told you, if you are in doubt, go with your antibody titer. Little doubt, do an antibody titer. You will only answer whether you take now or you will take after 1 month or 2 months. If the antibody titer is low, take then and there. If the antibody titer is high, wait for 2 months and take it. So it's a measurable thing. There is no confusion about it.
Thank you.
सर जनों को कोविड है हेलो सर गुड मॉर्निंग
Tell me, good morning. We are listening to you.
हेलो सर व्हाई कोवैक्सीन टेक्स ओनली कोविशील्ड टेक्स 84 days
I told you, these are all data, sir. So they have checked the antibody titer in people who are taking Covaxin. They have checked the antibody titer in people who are taking Covishield. They found the antibody titer is up to mark in Covishield even at 3 months. Whereas they found the antibody titer is a little lower lying in people who are taking Covaxin after 1 month. So they have decided. I told you, this is a measuring. With measurement, they have given a data. And data is something which is going to evolve. Today, one concept is there. Tomorrow, with research, some concept changes, they will add into this. So these are all changing values. But at present, the standard and proven concept is go for 1 month with Covaxin, go for 3 months with Covishield. And these have been decided by looking at antibody titer.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, sir. Very
Madam.
good morning.
Good morning, madam. Please.
Sir, can the use of steroid increase our blood sugar level?
Yes, it will. Because steroids are known to cause hyperglycemia.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Sir, there is another test, IL-6 test. Sir, काहे की करा जाए इस test?
Because this virus stimulates immune inflammation in body, it releases many immune inflammatory mediators, cytokines into body. Interleukin-6 is a cytokine. So to know about the cytokine status in body, they test interleukin-6. But practically, interleukin-6 should not be tested. If you are testing it, you should test within 30 minutes of collecting the sample. If you are not getting the sample tested within 30 minutes, you are going to get bizarre results. Like as a doctor, we have listened people telling IL-6 5,000, 3,000. This is a wrong value. When they are asymptomatic, the values are this high because the laboratory has processed the sample after 24 hours, after 48 hours. So that is a wrong thing. If the sample, like you are giving a sample at some smaller place, they are sending to some place and getting the result. Obviously, you are going to get a wrong value and that may create panic. So IL-6 should be very judiciously tested. If the laboratory is having the test facility, then only the sample should be collected. If they are not having, they should not be done. Only these are, I told you, no, many myths, these are all something existing where people do not follow. Like a CT value, when you are checking RT-PCR, you should look at a CT value, like cycling threshold value. How rapidly the virus is multiplying. If the virus is multiplying rapidly in your body, the CT value will be low. If the virus is multiplying slowly in your body, the CT value will be high. So if your CT value is high, you are going to get into problem less. If the CT value is low, you are going to get into the problem very high. Measurable parameters. If you are not measuring, you are not able to answer. If you are measuring, there is a way out. You can predict to a large extent.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we will wind up or some more.
Excuse me, sir. I have one more question.
Please, madam.
Sir, as these medicines are diabetogenic, a patient is having diabetes after COVID, and he has passed near about 4 months. Again, he is diabetic. Is there any research finding that they can revert into the non-diabetic state? Or they have to take permanent diabetic medicine?
Possible, madam. This will answer you by looking at a HbA1c test. HbA1c.
Yeah, that shows positive, sir.
Then HbA1c high means he had a tendency for the diabetes. This COVID or steroid disease, steroid has aggravated. Like we say form fruste. Form fruste means I was prone for that, but with incident, I found it. I was not knowing I am having, but I found it. So if HbA1c is high, he or she should take diabetic medicine. He or she cannot stop. Because HbA1c won't go high with a drug-induced diabetes. Like I took steroid for 15 days. My sugar was high during steroid use. But after I stopped steroid, if my HbA1c is less than 6 or 7, I'm sure that I was not having diabetes. If it is more, I'm sure that I was having diabetes. I was not knowing. Only this condition brought me and unfolded my diabetes. That's all the situation.
Okay,
Sir, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Please go ahead.
Sir, tumor problem, vaccine
should take. Everybody, nobody should be denied of taking vaccine. Nobody should deny to take vaccine. Everybody should take vaccine.
Sir, किसी problem नहीं tumor
किसी problem हमारे sir protect है जब आउ COVID virus infection हमारे देहरे से तांगा solution मिली वैसे ना problem हमारे.
Again,
it's a
sir.
good one to take.
Thank you, sir.
Vaccine will be taken.
Sir, if patient is having on warfarin, again they can take vaccine?
Yes, madam, they should take vaccine. When a person is on warfarin, should check the PT-INR. I told you, all measurement. If the PTINR is less than 2.5, take the vaccine. If the PTINR is no more than 2.5, stop warfarin for 1 day. If feasible, take a PTINR. If PTINR less than 2.5, take the vaccine. And while taking vaccine, use smaller needle. There are so many advances in medicine. You take a 26, 24 gauge needle, which will be a very small prick, nothing will go wrong. So, and after taking vaccine, do not rub that area. Just light press that area. People take an injection and keep rubbing, they create hematoma. So you should know what you are doing. Then there is no harm. You should take.
Excuse me, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, sir. Good morning, please.
Sir, what is the possibility of getting COVID from indirect contamination, like cash, door locks, metal city?
No, that concept has gone. There is no such concept. It's not there. Fomites are not transferring. We have already wasted so many diesel, petrol, or sanitizer. Leave it. It's not required. It is not there. It's an airborne disease. So there is no need of doing. And no, see, the people are telling how many people have washed their cashes, sir. Money, how many people have washed?
Nobody, sir.
That's what. To show fear they will do, but nobody will take and put sanitizer over cash note. No. So these are only myth. So you have to rationally use your conscience and logic. Scientific logic should be applied. These are only for show of people say how many, everybody will be telling cash transfers the disease, but nobody will be touching their cash with a sanitizer or water. This is not done.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks. We will wind up, or what do you say?
Sir, I have one more question.
Yeah, please.
Sir, there were some people who were asking.
Okay. We'll answer people. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Please.
Sir, some people have asked, can infants take vaccine, and what are the chances of taking vaccine if the people have severe asthmatic conditions?
Yeah, see, any asthmatic should take vaccine because this is a respiratory disease. Asthma is a respiratory problem. If you take the vaccine, you will be protected from the disease. And if the disease occurs in asthmatic, it will be severe, so your severity will come down. So asthmatic should take vaccine. COPD, asthmatic, comorbid condition, people should take vaccine. That is the dictum, no ambiguity. For infants, the data is not there. Infant is a child who is less than 1 year. So there is no data for immunization for a child who is less than 1 year. So beyond 2 years, they are having trial with Covaxin. Once the data comes by September, we will be in a position to tell about it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, I have another question.
Please, sir. Please.
Sir, if someone is in IBS and suffering from ulcerative colitis,
yeah, should take.
They can also take.
Should take, because I told you, any comorbidity, vaccine will protect, so that at least touched with bad luck or something, he is suffering from IBD or ulcerative colitis, he will not suffer with COVID. If he will not take, he will suffer with 2 diseases. One IBD was there, another COVID will get added. So one should take vaccine. No contraindication. Only now the contraindication is only age or who is suffering actively from COVID-19. Now I am suffering from COVID-19, I should not go and take a vaccine. So that is the only 2 contraindications. One is age, other is actively suffering from COVID-19 disease. So you should give a gap of 1 month, 3 months and go ahead with the vaccination. Those are the only 2 things.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So
Yeah, sir.
it is better.
It is 12 to will stop. Anyway, if somebody has doubt, they can put questions, we will answer. Thank you. Thank you all. I am thankful to every one of you.
Good morning, sir.
On the side of organizers,
Good morning, sir.
I will have a comment.
Somebody is telling one word.
Good morning, sir.
Sir, thanks to Anjan.
Sir, double dose Covaxin ନେଲା ପରେ ଏବେ ଆଉ ଥରେ ଡେଲ୍ଟା ପ୍ଲସ୍ ହବାର ଚାନ୍ସ ଅଛି ନା ନାହିଁ?
Pahli bara, prediction is boring. We can't predict and say, but very, very less chance. And Delta Plus has not been proven to be virulent. It's only 1 week duration. It has not been proven to be virulent. So it is not a variant of concern. It is only a variant of interest. So once it comes to a concern category, we will think about it. But at present, nothing. Once somebody has taken vaccine, the chance is very, very low, 20 to 25 fold less than others. So please take it. CMC has done a study and clearly shown.
One more question. One more question. During COVID, can I take TIM for inhaling? Is it scientifically okay?
Which one? What you want to use?
Taking steam for.
you can use only, I told you, there is no data or no proof about it. There are no randomized controlled trials that you can say, you can advise. Only scientific logic wise, in earlier viral infections or flu, we were using steam inhalation, warm saline gargling, because the viruses, they enter through nasopharynx. So you can do it, but if you are not going to get into severity, there is no data. If somebody has done steam inhalation and somebody has not done steam inhalation, the person who did steam inhalation, he will recover, and the person who did not do steam inhalation, he will go into trouble. There is no data about it. So you can do, because this is harmless. If you do steam inhalation, what, even I am not suffering from anything by steam inhalation, what will happen to my body? So there is nothing science behind it.
Does not damage the lungs, no?
No, sir. How steam will damage lungs, sir? And it is not the hot water you are putting into nose or anything. It won't do anything. Some minimal heat feeling will be there. You go to salon and sit for half an hour for doing a facial, they put steam everywhere. What is happening to you? Nothing.
Okay.
Sir, one last question, sir.
Disinfectant kill new strains of COVID-19?
Which one? This vaccine can kill new mutants of COVID-19.
Sir, disinfectants.
Sir,
Sir,
yeah, I
do
told you, no, because it's
disinfectant
if it is an enveloped virus, so enveloped virus is susceptible to alcohol-based disinfectant. So if there is some droplet, it is bound to help. But these are the things one cannot prove, no, where that droplet was there, who has touched it, how the disinfectant does. This is a gross common sense that why this virus is getting disinfected by the sanitizer, because it is having a lipid envelope and alcohol-based disinfectants are able to kill it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot. We will find out. This will go on. Okay, madam. Please.
Okay, we consider this as the last question.
It will be the last question. Yeah, please.
Okay, thank you. Last question, please.
Please, madam.
Sir, can I continue any medication after vaccination?
Yeah, whatever medicine whosoever is taking should continue. Vaccination for people who are not on any treatment and vaccination for people who are on some treatment has no change. There should not be any change for anybody. Those who are on treatment, they will continue treatment. Those who are not on treatment, they will not take any treatment. So there is no relation with any other disease to vaccine.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, madam. Bye. Thank you all. I am thankful to the whole organizing team. Special thanks to Anjan. It's good. It was a good interactive session. I liked it.
So thank you, sir, for your nice presentation. And now I request Vishal, our main.
Vishal also. Many thanks, Vishal.
Thank you.
Possible. You have made it possible.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Vishal. Hi.
Okay, so now, thank you very much for sharing your time and telling a lot about COVID and all.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so I will be sharing a screen now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to stop sharing, no? I have to stop sharing. Yeah.
Is my screen visible?
Yeah. It is going to come, I think. It is going to come.
Okay, sir.
Yes, now it is visible. So this was my interest to present this slide at the very beginning, but due to some technical error problem, I could not display it. So now, in spite of welcoming everyone, I would like to thank everyone for attending the webinar on comprehensive care for COVID-19 diseases, and hope something you might have received or got the benefit from hearing the webinar. So again, I will repeat, this was organized by Research Journal of Pharmacy and Life Sciences. You can go through the site of www.rjpls.com, which is an official publication of a health organization and medical education for society with a good intention to do something. We have created this journal of RJPLS, and we are trying to do something good with all good intention. And lastly, but the presentation over, I would like to further say the speaker was Dr. Anil Kumar Mahapatra, the interventional cardiologist from Indus Hospital. And please, next slide. Yes, just as I told, Sir is treating COVID patients from the beginning. Just we are observing from the paper or everything. This is a live figure of Dr. Anil Kumar Mahapatra sir with PP kit while treating the patient. So you cannot identify who is this person. Totally covered and treating very painful. You all know that is you will stay covered. You can't take water. You can't talk to anybody. You can't go for urination even after wearing this PP kit. So, but doctors, they're taking a big challenge and risk. When we are hearing the name of COVID in the street, someone is getting COVID. We got the news in the street.
Not only Dr. Anjan, not only doctor, everybody who has involved for patient care, all medical, paramedical, police personnel, everybody, individual at their home caring for their person who is suffering from COVID has taken the pain. It is a painful time. So everybody has taken the responsibility to solve this problem. Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So next slide, please.
হ্যাঁ আমাদের তো ইন্ডাস্ট্রিয়াল ট্যুরে মানে
We would like to felicitate you. Thank you so much. Mahapatra sir, with a portrait done by our good friend.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That is James Sundar. He has nicely made a portrait of Dr. Anil Kumar Mahapatra sir. We are part of Research Journal of Pharmacy and Life Sciences. We like to
আমাদের তো
with a portrait which is a handmade.
কিছুই নেই
So thank you sir. Thank you James Sundar for a beautiful art done for our doctor and speaker of today's program, Dr. Anil Kumar Mahapatra sir. And it is small
বিরক্তিকর লাগে আমার কলেজ দেখেছো তো
next please.
আমার কলেজে মানে মেইন গেটে
I request Mr. Sandeep to please close your mic.
ঠিক আছে ওর থেকে ভালো ভেতরেই বসবো ক্যান্টিনে যাবো একটুখানি চা ফা খাবো
Okay, this is a small memento on behalf of RJPLS as a token of our love and appreciation to Dr. Anil Kumar Mahapatra sir. So a webinar on comprehensive care for COVID-19 disease, Dr. Anil Kumar Mahapatra, consultant, international cardiologist in Visakhapatnam, and the program was done on 27th of June, organized by RJPLS and an official publication. Thank you, sir. This portrait and this memento we try to pass to you through postal communication.
I am honored. Thank you so much. Thank you, your team, and thanks to every one of you. Right. And thank you,
Dr. Anil Kumar Mahapatra, for a very nice presentation. You made the presentation so interesting in a very lucid language. You really enjoyed and you gave
sir. Thank you so much.
very valuable information.
Thank you so much, sir.
It's very useful to all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I congratulate Dr. Anil Kumar Mahapatra and the entire team of RJPLS for the nice arrangements. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Everybody attending. It was a pleasure for me that everybody attended. Thanks a lot.
No, it's very good information. You shared the information very well. Thank you.
The program can't come to an end without recognizing Professor P.N. Murthy sir, my guru, philosopher and mentor, and who is all time one inspiration to we all in Odisha. Not only me, he is not only guru, philosopher and mentor to me, he is guru, philosopher and mentor to many and to the entire pharmacy professionals of Odisha, and all time his motivation, his guidance cannot be expressed in words. So these appreciations cannot be expressed, it can only be felt and realized. Thank you so much, sir, for guiding us.
I am also thankful to teachers who have attended and blessed us.
Thank you, sir.